G'day, I'm Ash. Welcome yourselves to Equa Strike. Or should I say, I'm having a stroke, because that's definitely what the whole entire patch vibe generally tends to be. Welcome to 2.5 and everything. Hope you're all having a fantastic time grinding and unlocking new stuff. Today we're going to be taking out the Freedom Fighter, also known as the F-5A, or well, there's many variants of it. We'll get into that and all that jazz in a moment. But, I don't know, I've had just come off a live stream and we started playing this, and I just really couldn't be bothered doing a proper video, so this is what we're going to do today. I'm going to jump straight into the gameplay, because this thing is intense fun. It is a fantastic jet. I highly recommend you try it, or at least try to get to it. Rank 6, buttering 10.7, it's top end, it does everything so well, and we'll get in and discuss that as the matches go on. But all you need to know is this thing has the same engines as the G91YS, and it's certainly a lot better than an F-104, and certainly a lot better than a J72, I can tell you that much. Anyway, let's get cracking on with the video, I suppose. Jumping into our first game, we are immediately greeted by the F5. There's no real distinction there. It's a single-seat air superiority fighter, so keep in mind that this is primarily designed as a fighter aircraft, although it's immensely fun to fly. Unfortunately, I've had to record this video 4 times now, and every single time Adobe Premiere and my computers either freezed shut, had an audio issue, or completely and utterly just crashed on me. So I'm quite pissed off with having to repeat myself and having to rethink about what I said initially, because it would have been more structured. Anyway, a little bit of background. This has got two 20mm M39 cannons, 280 rounds per gun, and it's got 2 wingtip mounted AIM-9Ps. So this thing's great fun. Obviously, selected as a fighter of the winning contester of the US Air Force's International Fighter Aircraft, or IFA, contest in November 1970, this thing is an utter dream to fly, and currently calls for the procurement of 325 aircraft. Hold on, we're killing someone. These guns are fantastic, might I add. Absolutely fantastic. It's probably the best thing about it. Anyway, we go to Taiwan, South Vietnam, South Korea, and a whole host of other nations. So essentially export fighter, what this thing is. Now, the F-5E, which is the variant we don't necessarily have, has a more powerful radar. Obviously, it also has increased internal fuel capacity and various aerodynamic refinements, whatever the bloody fuck that means. And the F-5E is expected to enter service with foreign air forces during the course of 1974. Now, the excerpt that I read that out of was the Observer's Book of Aircraft by William Green. It's a little excerpt about the F-5E Tiger II. And while it's an interesting aircraft in War Thunder, that doesn't necessarily matter. Now, I know in the game files there is one of these particular vehicles laying around. In fact, it's for the US tech tree. But at the moment, that vehicle looks like it's a modular, like it's mixed with 2 different types of airframes. The A model, the B model, and the C model, it seems. Anyway, doesn't necessarily matter. Engaging an F-104, the F-4 just completely and utterly got obliterated. And we're going to watch as a missile goes whoosh. There you go, goodbye, see you later, mate. Back to the hangar he goes, and instantly we're going to outturn this F-104. He thought he'd be smart enough to really sort of put a missile off. Now, I love this aircraft. It's a fascinating one. For those of you who know, it's obviously MiG-28, the Top Gun sort of training vehicle. I know Russia did procure a couple of these aircraft, or I think it was like 1 test bed from Vietnam, and they tested it thoroughly, as well as a captured F-4 and I believe a Mirage that they also tested the living daylights out of. You can see the results of those sort of Russian experimental aircraft after they've tested those in the late 70s, but by that point in time, Soviet Union was in disrepair. More importantly, that's politics, and we don't do politics here on Ash Productions. This is a F-5. And its introduction caused a complete and utter storm. People were demanding this aircraft for the US. Like, oh, it's a US-made aircraft. It should go in the US-made, vehicle line. Only argument to that, this vehicle is an export fighter. This vehicle is for other nations, not for America, even though they did use them as a testing ground for, training up their pilots in aerial combat maneuvers. But they did see service in Vietnam, and I suppose that's reason enough to get it for the tech tree. But the problem is, a lot of the technologies nowadays, specifically, if people have realised it's cheaper just to buy another country's equipment and then modify it from there, rather than to put in time and energy into research and development, So that way you have to then pay people to do all this kind of stuff, archival stuff, you know, research and building, and then you got to have factories, and you got to have the manufacturing capacity, and then you also have to train the people how to use the equipment you've just made. The research and development cost is quite high when it comes to developing indigenous stuff, which is why eventually in War Thunder we'll probably see 4 factions predominantly make most of the game's technology. UK, France, they're kind of the same entity towards the end. Russia, America, and then you have China. You could argue to a degree Germany, but Germany more focuses on ground than they do air. So, there are a heap of factors here at play. And it's not really something that I really wanted to discuss in this video, but suffice to say, copy-paste will probably be an issue if that ever does happen. Anyway, we're chasing this F-4A off the edge of the map. I will say this thing has an insane energy retention. Some of the turns back there, doing 14, 15 Gs, no problem. Now the F-4 decided to bounce off the edge of the map and presented himself a bit of a target. So there we go. Missile goes whoosh, and that is a missile kill. 3 kills are not bad. I've had better matches. I've had some terrible matches. For a longest time I was only getting 1 to 2 kills in this vehicle, but now I'm starting to see a bit of a trend and a bit of a pattern. It's a very interesting vehicle to fly. It takes a little bit of getting used to, and for the while now the average is about 3 to 4 kills, at least over the last few matches that I have played. So yeah, this aircraft is fun, it's adorable, and the roll rate is insane. And there's not really much else to say about this aircraft. Well, we'll jump into the next match here. I will say that I've had immense fun flying the aircraft. It did take a while to get used to how this aircraft performs, considering I've played nothing but A-7D, MiG-28, particularly the German SMT. I sort of really haven't played much else. I was playing the Russian variants of MiGs and so on and so forth. I haven't really dabbled with any of the Phantoms yet, so I'll probably be looking to try and do that at some point. People have always told me, oh, Phantoms are fucking brilliant. I don't know about that one. I've been avoiding them because I just generally don't like the Phantom. Nothing against the Phantom. Australia did use 24 of them while in the interim period for waiting for the F-111s. And in fact, we actually asked the US if we could have some more, but they were like, no. So, that just shows you. Now, we quite like the Phantoms, quite a lot. Anyway, wasting a bunch of ammunition on this Phantom, and missile goes whoosh. Ready? Smack. Again, this thing is so fun. We turned on the inside of him. We managed to actually get into his line of fire, pulled behind him, and then watched as he got obliterated. That's just what you do in this thing. As you can see here, there's an F-8U, something which I'm going to have to play myself. I'm rolling around quite a bit. So is he, to be fair. That thing has an insane roll rate. I think its flight model is a little bit broken at the moment. I think it's got a few things missing, but he's damaged, and we can just sort of toss and turn with him and play around, and I want to keep him away from my aircraft at all possible. It's here that he goes, oh, I'm not going to win this fight, so I'm just going to run. Well, you can't run from the extra missile that I have on the edge of my wingtip now, can you, bud? He realises this, tries turning, and, well, goodbye. There you go, second kill. Right, let's get into some gun kills, because this is the fun part. You can turn fight with Mirages. This is something that surprised me, but also didn't at the same time. I watched a few other creators' videos, particularly Deffin's. He's like an absolute god, that man. And as you can see, he can just light things up. So much fun. Now, if I had been paying attention, the F-4A would have been gone as well. Doesn't necessarily matter. Now, proof of advice, don't do as I do here. You should be keeping your speed, not necessarily losing all of your speed here. Something I shouldn't have done is looped around like that. The Mirage came and gave a go at me, but we're going to go have a go at this Mirage. Unfortunately, I haven't necessarily kept track of my surroundings too well. We will kill this Mirage off, though. Let's see if we do that one. Oh, hang on. F-4A. See, is he being a bit of a silly bugger? No hits on that guy. Would have been fantastic if I did. There's a Mirage on my 6. There's a Draken over above. Another Mirage up to my bottom rear. That is a magic missile that he just fired at me. I managed to pull up and evade that guy. And try again. MiG-28 tries to go for a gun run. Unfortunately, misses his missile there. And we can just try and stay out of the nose of the Mirage 3. Those things are incredibly potent enemies. I quite like them, and I love dogfighting them too. They're so much fun. Friendly gives it a go again. Go on, MiG-28. You can do it. And there's a J-35. Now, I should have been paying more attention to the J-35. As you can see here, I'm sort of losing a lot of speed and a lot of energy retention. But that's okay. Mirage is about to screw up royally, and here he is. He's lower speed than I am. Just trying to get him to overshoot. Wait for it. There it is. There's the moment. And we turn on the inside of him and just give him a blast. Here you go. Unfortunately, do not forget about Drakens. They are probably the most potent enemy to an F-5A, aside from missiles. Anyway, that's the F-5A. I hope you enjoyed today's video. There's not really much else to say about it. It turns incredibly well. It's got energy retention for days. It can G-lock itself. Not at all. You can do 16 Gs, no problem. It's an incredibly maneuverable fighter, and I guess that's the first impressions for this particular vehicle. I tested a bunch on the dev server. I was most excited for this one. It has multi-role capacity. You can even take this out, I think, as a bomber aircraft. You could take this out as a ground attacker or an interceptor. Its roles are limitless, and I really quite like it. So expect there to be another video touching it soon when I get an ace, or maybe I get 6 kills or something in it soon. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. My name is Ash, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheerio.